Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bells Must Ring podcast. I am your host, Andrew Rice, here with my usual co-host, Arnav Sarkar. A lot of hoops to talk about in recent weeks, especially regarding Rutgers basketball. Sorry, I almost said football, but because I do have football on the mind after Indiana won the national championship last night. Do want to start off the episode talking a little bit about that. Kurt Signetti, what he did over at Indiana, that was just completely improbable. I don't think it's ever going to be replicated in my lifetime where he takes the lovable loser and turns them into the hated winner. But, um, you know, Mendoza, he didn't have the best day through the air. He still won the national championship MVP. He did have 168 passing yards and that one incredible rushing touchdown where he just absolutely refused to be tackled. But not the best day as a quarterback, but he did lead his troops to victory, and that's all you can ask. And speaking from a Rutgers point of view, I think Indiana's victory shows that any school can do it. In this, if as long as you get the money right, as long as you get the coach right, any school can do it. It's no longer a tool of the elite institutions to use against each other, because Indiana was the first college football team to 700 losses. They are not, by and large, throughout their history, they are not an elite institution when it comes to football, but they did it. So I think this serves to show everybody that, in a nice and warming, heartfelt way, you can do it too.
It's really unbelievable. I mean, Indiana was just not good throughout their history, even recent years. I mean, Rutgers was also not good, when we played Indiana, but they were always able to get wins. I mean, like Indiana was, they struggled against teams like Akron. They would lose, get blown out by, pretty average teams in the Big Ten. I mean, Rutgers went in there and beat them 38-3. They won when they went 4-8. They beat them 24-17. That was their one Big Ten win. Then they win. You get bowl eligibility the next year in Bloomington, going winning 31-14. So yeah, those 3 years, and that stands out because those Rutgers teams weren't really all that great either, and they were still significantly better than Indiana. And then now Indiana is just like a world beater, and in 2 years, and literally the first year with Signetti, they look like a different team, and they're beating everybody except for the really good teams. So they needed some work, in the trenches, obviously, to measure up. But this year they did that. I mean, they were so dominant from the front to the back, and both sides of the line. Their quarterback, I mean, Mendoza, Heisman winner. The playmaker is really good. I mean, everybody on that team is
that defensive line too.
The defensive line is absolutely
Signetti crafting his blitzes is like Mozart writing his musicals.
They just come, the way they stun, the way they tackle, put pressure on guys, and you can't run on there.
It's really art.
You can't run on them, and it's hard to throw on them too. I mean, they're absolutely, they get to the ball very quickly. So they create a lot of sacks. But I mean, Miami put up a good fight. They did a lot of the same things. They play really well in the trenches. They have some playmakers. I mean, I thought Carson Beck had a decent game. So that, Mark Fletcher had a good game. He had a big run. Malachi Tony had a big run. He had a touchdown. Mendoza, the offense was a little quiet, but whenever they needed to step up, they did. So I mean,
and then the punt block.
Yeah, the punt block, that was a huge
Special teams are a part of the game, no matter how you slice.
They did a Rutgers style. They had a punt block. Mendoza with the touchdown. And then Charlie Becker stepping up in the big moments as he's done. Omar Cooper, Kalen Black. I mean, the Hoosiers, they did enough. They, in this game, it wasn't a blowout, but they made all the big plays. Whether it was Charlie Becker making incredible contested catches as he's done every time, or Mendoza, rushing for the touchdown, putting his body on the line, or even, I mean, the interception at the end of the game, to seal it off. I mean, reading the route perfectly and picking it off. Indiana, they made the big plays that Miami didn't. That's why they won the game at the end of the day.
Also, Miami made the mistakes that
Yeah, they missed a field goal. They had a punt blocked. They still had a chance to win, and then Carson Beck throws an interception that wasn't really a good ball. So yeah, they definitely made mistakes that Indiana capitalized on, whether it's the punt block touchdown or the interception. Yeah, so I mean they also kind of they played themselves out of a win, I guess you could say as well
I don't know if I would go there. I still think like playing because playing yourself out of a win makes it sound like Indiana didn't deserve it. No, they did. They played well enough to
That's
win the
true.
game.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
forcing those mistakes, getting a punt block
that's
or
true.
stuff like that, reading the quarterback's eyes to get an interception.
Right.
That's like,
Yeah. I guess Indiana made all the big plays and they forced a couple of mistakes that put them over the edge because Miami was definitely willing and able to keep up with them, which a lot of teams just were not. But
oh yeah,
yeah.
Miami went blow for blow.
Yeah, and they could have won the game very easily too but I mean if the interception didn't happen, if the punt block didn't happen, like all those things like added up. So I mean, yeah, I mean those are like the big difference makers. I think the punt block, the pick, and of course, yeah, and then Mendoza, getting in on fourth down as well. So I mean, like,
Oh,
yeah, that was absolutely that was absolutely huge. I mean, that was a gutsy call to go for it on the fourth, and for them to be able to pick it up and Mendoza to be able to score a touchdown, that was absolutely huge as well. So I mean, yeah, I mean Indiana making all the big plays, forcing a couple mistakes, and they're the national champions. I mean, Miami is a heck of a team too, but I mean, they made one heck of a run to the championship game. They beat Ohio State, A&M, Ole Miss. I mean, they had that will, but I mean, I don't know. Indiana was just too dominant, even on a night where their offense didn't really have the best day. I mean, Miami's defense is getting to them. Like they were able to do enough to seal the deal, and yeah, that's what champions do, right?
yeah, that is how champion ball is played. Um, Obviously, kudos to Signetti turning that program around. He is a winner, and we can Google him now. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, like again, so happy for that fan base. And now I'm hoping that, like I said, this proves that any team can do it. So,
Why
you know,
not?
if
Yeah.
Indiana
It's
can, why
nuts.
not us? Um, but again, hats off. Grateful that that fan base was able to enjoy a win like that. But we're just to not dwell on the national championship for too long because it is not Rutgers related, believe it or not. Um,
Yeah.
we're gonna move over to basketball. Rutgers did fall short against Wisconsin, 96-87. They did have a huge comeback attempt in the second half after falling way behind 29-51 in the first half,
Right.
which in all honesty, I think if they play that second half the first half and just
Mm-hmm.
or play that way the whole game, not only do I think they win, I think they probably blow Wisconsin out. You know, if they
Yeah.
play the way they did in the second half in the first half, um, they probably blow Wisconsin out. But of course, that's not how it goes. Um, Turns out that both teams actually matched each other in field goal percentage and 3-point percentage, so there wasn't really too much of a tilt there. But the biggest issue for Rutgers was that they could not score on turnovers and only netted about 4 points on 9 Wisconsin turnovers. And on top of that, they committed 24 fouls.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm not saying that every foul sent somebody to the line, but if you're giving up like
Right. Right.
let's say you know let's say 15 of those fouls send somebody to the line. I don't know, I'm just speculating, but if you're giving up 30 foul point shots or free throws, that's not a recipe for success. So they need to play a much cleaner game tonight against Iowa. But
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
to highlight some personal performances, the Knights rebounded very well. They actually scooped up 4 more than the Badgers did. Harun Zerno seems to have found his groove, at least for one game. He netted 21 points, 5 of 9 from 3, 6 of 6 at the line. Tariq Francis took a while to get going, but he still ended up with 15 points. Ogbole grabbed 9 rebounds, while Darren Buchanan Jr. grabbed 7 rebounds. So there are positives to take away from this performance. There's definitely a silver lining, especially after falling down 51-29 at the half. You wouldn't think that there would be anything positive to take away from a game like that, but they did show a lot down the stretch.
Yeah, I mean, second half was quite the comeback attempt. I mean, they were down by like 22 or whatever it was. It was what 22.
No, 22. Sorry.
And then second half they outscored them 50-45. There was a time when they cut the lead to like under 10 points, and
they got it to 7.
They got it to 7, yeah, and then it was kind of like not enough, but. I mean, yeah, Wisconsin had Nick Boyd. I mean, he had 32 points, and he was making a lot of tough shots. That was a sensational performance. But for Rutgers, Harun Zerno was hitting some tough threes. I mean, he was absolutely splashing them. He had a really good career high 21 points. So that was pretty impressive because he could shoot with like a hand in his face, like without time. Like, I mean, he was just like, catching and shooting. He had a good day. I mean, 5 for 9 from downtown, 21 points. Francis did take a while to get going, but he had 15. Doing what he does best, I guess. So a little bit quieter from him, but still like not bad at all. And then, I mean, Jamichael Davis at 12. I think he had like a big 3. That was like part of that run that Rutgers had. And in terms of rebounding, I mean, Ogbole had a pretty good game. He had 9 boards, and Buchanan had 7. So, I mean, they played after the first half was like really sluggish. Like it just didn't look like they had it. Second half, they definitely did. So, I mean, I guess the key for Iowa tonight is going to be that they have to get started, quicker. Obviously, to be able to get a win, you have to start from the beginning. You know what I mean? And especially in a road environment. And if he can play consistent 40 minutes, then that definitely helps. But I mean, another thing that we have on the outline is that this game's could be a possible upset alert because Iowa does struggle to rebound while Rutgers at times has been effective on the offensive glass, and I guess sometimes it hasn't, but if Rutgers can win that match.
We're not going to say that they were effective on the offensive glass in the Michigan and the Purdue game, but what I will say is that they have, against like the middle tier of the conference, they have actually been pretty effective on the offensive glass. Iowa only averages about 30 rebounds a game. In comparison, Rutgers averages about 36. So, and we are a little bit on the lower end as well. There's teams like, I believe we played Illinois. Illinois had like 40 or something like that. So they are like Iowa is on the lower side of the conference in terms of rebounds. Right. So if grab those and net those second chance points, it's only going to help us out and keep us on the offensive attack. The one thing with Iowa too is that they are they are top heavy. They only have like one scorer that is like netting all their points, and that is Bennett Sturtz. So get this, Sturtz alone is averaging 18.2 points per game, which leads the team. He averages 5 assists per game, which leads the team, and 1.4 steals per game, which leads the team.
Oh, geez, wow.
The only stat that he does not lead the team in is rebounds with 4.7 per game. The one nice thing about Rutgers is that Tariq might lead the team in points, but Ogbole leads the team in rebounds. It's a little bit more of a mixture. Jamichael Davis, I believe, is the one that leads the team in assists. It's not one guy doing everything. It's right. You have your shooter, you have your playmaker, you have your rebounder. If Rutgers can find a way to even just slow him down, because this is something I compare to Northwestern. When Rutgers knocked off Northwestern at home, who was it for Northwestern? Because I'm thinking of the Oregon guy, Cam Biddle, but it's not Cam Biddle. It's Nate Biddle. The guy from Northwestern. What was his name?
Martinelli.
Yeah, Martinelli. Martinelli was everything for Northwestern,
Right, right.
and Rutgers beat them,
Yeah.
Sturtz or I don't really know how to pronounce it. He's everything for Iowa. I think
Yeah, makes sense. Bennett
Rutgers
Stern.
might be able to because even though Martinelli had 34 points in that game, Rutgers was still able to beat them because everybody else was kind of a non-factor, you know.
True.
That's why I think that Rutgers actually has a chance of upsetting Iowa in this game.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. Road wins are definitely tough in the Big Ten, but I mean, in that case, I mean, I think there's definitely a chance that happens, but they're gonna have to come with from the beginning because the last couple home games have been really exciting, like overtime wins. The road games they've kind of just come out flat in the first half, like Illinois really flat.
I understand that, but you have to look at who they were playing too. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, they're not going to go out and beat Illinois. This is not
right. That's
this,
fair. But
this
even
is not.
Wisconsin, like the way they started the game was like very uninspiring as well, and like they
I'll
couldn't
agree
quite
there.
get back.
I'll agree there. But one thing that we have learned about this team over the past couple weeks is that they're not going to bottom out like we thought they would.
Yeah,
They're not just going to completely fall in on themselves.
right.
Ohio State, they took to the wire. They knocked off Oregon.
Yeah,
Illinois was lopsided, yeah, but they beat Northwestern. They played a very good second half against Wisconsin and almost pulled off a miraculous comeback. So
yeah.
we do know that this is not going to be a team that just completely bottoms out, and I would be very surprised if we finished at the bottom of the Big Ten this season.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, that's what I was thinking that we would, and after the
Oh,
way
I was
the
thinking that too. Don't get me wrong.
yeah, but now like after seeing the way that this team's played and getting those two overtime wins, Northwestern and Oregon, both in exciting fashion. Yeah, it looks like this team is not going to bottom out. They're going to compete. They're going to
And then when you factor in, we have two games
against
against both Penn State and
yeah.
Maryland.
Those are definitely winnable opportunities in there. The
If
way
we
these teams
split
are looking.
those, we at least get to 4 Big Ten wins.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, looking at the standings, like there's, Rutgers has made their way. And there's like a little bit of separation from I mean, not really, but you know what I mean. There's teams that are worse than the Scarlet Knights in conference record and overall record. So I mean, that's the interesting part. I mean, now they have a win over Oregon, they have a win over Northwestern. They still play Maryland and Penn State twice each, and neither of those teams look very good this season. So there's you're right. Even if they split the series, that's 4 Big Ten wins, and chances are they find their way to get another one. So we'll see what happens. But I mean, yeah, it looks like this team's going to be competitive. Game against Iowa. It's going to be exciting when they come home because they have Indiana, they have Michigan State coming up in the next week at Jersey Mike's Arena too. So before they head out to the West Coast. So I mean, a couple home games. That one on Friday against the Hoosiers and one on Tuesday against the Spartans. Two, I guess a typical basketball brand. So ticket prices have kind of gone back up. But yeah, I mean a couple home games for the Scarlet Knights coming up.
Yeah, did you see how much those Indiana tickets are going for?
Yeah, just way too much money. Like I don't know what's going on with those, but I mean,
for those of you who don't know, the cheapest ticket for the Rutgers Indiana basketball game is $131, and that's on SeatGeek, not sponsored, but
that is nuts.
And that's on SeatGeek, and they're going for $131.
Yeah, I kind of missed when the tickets were like $10. Like that was not a bad deal.
The crazy thing is for Indiana it's $131. Michigan State is 93.
Yeah.
Nebraska is 105, and then Maryland is 20.
Yeah, that might be the game to go to. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah,
Washington 12.
Sorry.
Washington is $12.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it's also all about like opponent. I know, like there's a lot of. I mean, I'm sure there's gonna be a lot of demand for Indiana, Michigan State. Like those are big time, basketball brands. And
Nebraska
good teams too. I mean, Nebraska's like undefeated still. which is it could be a 1 seed. I mean, they're absolutely insane. So that obviously that those three are like going to be big games for the Scarlet Knights at home: Indiana, Michigan State, Nebraska. And then then there's only three more. There's Maryland, Washington, and Penn State home games. But yeah, I mean we're making our way through, but we'll see how things go. But exciting little stretch of home games coming up for the Scarlet Knights after this road game at Iowa. But I guess first they have to play that one, and then we'll see how we'll see how things go, and then they'll be home Friday and Tuesday.
Yeah, hopefully we can especially want to go into that Michigan State game with a little bit of momentum, because we don't know the world of hurt that they can probably put us in. But
yeah.
Now that we're kind of concluded our men's basketball talk, there is something I wanted to address, that the NCAA actually made changes to the college basketball transfer portal. So I'm just going to take a quick minute to address that. The changes that they adopted is that men's and women's basketball players will no longer be able to enter the portal until the day after the NCAA tournament ends in their respective sports. And additionally, the portal will be open for 15 days and 15 days only. Now, barring like your head coach leaving or something like that, that is the only transfer portal. They adopted kind of like the football model of, this is the only portal that we're going to have, and there's going to be nothing else. So it does bring a little bit of regulation to the usually chaotic time of the transfer portal. Now, that doesn't mean that players can't declare their intentions to transfer before then. Obviously, we know, like, nobody wants to say it, but we know there's going to be tampering.
Yeah.
Everybody does it. That it's sad to say, but there's going to be tampering. Players can announce their intentions to enter beforehand, but they will not officially be in the portal until the day after their respective sports concludes their national championship game. Yeah, unless, of course, like I said, the changing of the head coach, then that applies. Then that additional rules apply there. But another thing interesting to note is that mid-year transfers will not be permitted at all. Even if you did not suit up for the school in the fall semester, you cannot play for a different school in the spring semester. I'm not saying that has become like a rampant issue. I'm just saying I'm very happy that some regulation is coming to the chaotic windows of the transfer portal. Football was actually kept everything in order, but it's nice to say that there is something being done, something to rein in the chaotic periods of the transfer portal.
Yeah, I mean I think I have to agree with that. Because it's just getting too chaotic. Like I mean, I think especially with the way football was, it was like there's two windows, and like that's not even really like the biggest problem. It was just, I don't know, the mid-year transfers thing for basketball is weird, because like now guys were like committing or transferring in the middle of the season, or being and then being eligible for the rest of the basketball season, which I thought was bizarre. I was just like, what is going on? And then the whole thing about the G League, players who, didn't get drafted or something like that. But then I don't know. It's just getting to be it's like, where do we draw the lines with these things? It's just you know what I mean? Like anyone can just come back and play, as long as they've never played in the NBA or something like that. And
it was insanity. It was
and then I mean, another thing I like is after the NCAA tournament, they won't be able to enter the portal, because this season with college football, the playoff was still going on, but people could still enter the portal, you know what I mean, and then miss the rest of their season. Like that happened, I think, to someone on Oregon, someone in Indiana, that they decided to transfer. Probably guys that didn't really play a lot, I would assume, in that case, for those teams. But still, I just thought the whole thing was really, really bizarre, that why is the transfer portal open while the playoffs are going on? Like that, what I mean? That doesn't make any sense. Right. Like it should start the day after the season ends, right? You're not gonna transfer mid-year. But I mean, I guess, I don't know, if for football it's weird, because I guess they have to make it in line with the academic calendar and with the spring semester and like all that stuff. And I guess they also have the spring portal window now. They don't have that, so yeah, I don't know. I think that I really do like that they won't be able to enter until after the NCAA tournament ends, because that makes sense, right? You finish one year, you start the next. You don't have like all this overlap where the year's over, and then recruiting
And
starts like the next day, and then the playoff goes on for like a whole another month, and then it's just
and
like we
teams
don't know
teams
when.
in the national championship shouldn't have to worry about who's leaving the program and who's who
Exactly.
shouldn't have to be recruiting at the same time that they're trying to play a game.
Yeah, but I feel like that kind of does start like right after the year ends, but typically that's when your season's over. But like you know what I mean? Like when you're still playing, you shouldn't really have to worry about all that stuff till afterwards. Like people should not be coming in and out like until, or you know what I mean? Like yeah, it's just like a bizarre circumstance that that the
Had to
football
be
calendar
on.
is very messed up. Like I don't know why it's like that. I guess they're trying to juggle the academic concerns. They're trying to juggle like a whole bunch of different things. The extended postseason, which goes on for like a month, and the other teams don't have that.
Also, how about this? Get the playoffs started quicker. Don't wait.
Yeah.
Like, don't wait 3 weeks. Like, come on.
Right, I know. You know what's crazy? Next year, the college football, the championship game is going to be like a week later, so we're gonna have like another week. It's like every round, there's too much time in between. Like it's just like you know what I mean? Like there's just too much. There's like 10 days between the first round and the New Year's games, and then there's another like 10 days between that and the semis, and then there's another you know what I mean? It's like each time it's like like the previous round is like a distant memory by the time the next round comes into play, and we're like, what are we doing here? Like it's January 20th, and like we're just finishing off the playoff. Like I mean, like my goodness, like you know what I mean? Like we're deep in the heart of NFL playoffs now, and we're still like talking about. I mean, we just had the national championship game, but it's a lot of rest, I guess. But why are we dragging this out so much? Like, I mean, we're starting the playoff late, and then we're dragging each round out for like weeks. Like, I mean, it's just like I just don't get it. Like, I guess they have to go around the NFL schedule. Like, they're doing the New Year's Bowl games, and then they're doing like the semifinals Thursday, Friday for wild card weekend. Then they're doing the national championship on Monday after divisional. So I think that's probably part of it too, like to get that not maximum exposure. You don't want to be competing against the NFL for I guess anything other than the first round of games. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think it's just a little weird, like why they keep pushing it back. But yeah, the portal window's a little bit messed up in my
You should
opinion.
put it on New Year's.
New Year's is, I mean, well, the New Year's thing is like a
Put the
tradition.
natty on New Year's. Like, that's it.
Yeah, right. Like we should like move this whole calendar back because basically after December, like we're done. Like I mean that you know what I mean. The last week is rivalry week, and then the next week is conference championships, and then
Roll right into the playoffs.
right. I guess the only thing is Army Navy is usually on that empty week, right? The standalone week, or
Yeah.
maybe I don't know. Like you know what I mean. That's always nice.
You shouldn't have 10-day breaks. No.
Yeah, yeah, right. Like as it is, it's already like a kind of a delayed start. But I'm like, okay, fine. But then like after that, like having 10-day breaks every single round, it just gets to be like too much. Like I don't know. That's my opinion. But yeah, I mean the games have been good this playoff. Like it's been a fun one. A couple blowouts, but a lot of good games. But yeah, I mean the amount of space in between is just not great. But in terms of college basketball, I think this is really good because that was also getting very chaotic with the mid-year transfers and everything going on with that. Like I'm glad that they kind of took care of that.
Yeah. At least it shows that some stuff is getting done up there. But just to kind of keep the podcast rolling and keep everything turning and burning a little bit.
Right.
We're gonna talk about women's basketball. They earned their first Big Ten victory. Sorry, 76-72 over Penn State. You cover women's basketball. Do you care to take this segment?
Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I was watching like a lot of this game, so yeah, I cover most of the women's games. This was definitely a a back and forth game for sure. I mean, Kiyomi McMillan, former Scarlet Knight, she had a really good performance. She had 27 points, 11 boards, 5 assists. But I mean, it was really, of the battle of the centers. I mean, Amani Lester had 19 points and 8 rebounds. Penn State's Gracie Merkel, 21 points, 8 boards. I mean, she's absolutely dominant every game. But Lester is going back and forth with her. She was kind of having her way at times, getting points in the paint. But yeah, Penn State didn't really have too much bench contribution. They played with a lot of offensive like pace and firepower, so a lot of quick baskets. But it was kind of the battle between the worst. Penn State's like the worst defense in the Big Ten, and Rutgers was like the worst offense in the Big Ten. So it was interesting to see how those kind of played out. And yeah, Rutgers got off to the early lead, 22-17. Penn State kind of controlled the middle 2 quarters, but then Rutgers came off with a fiery fourth quarter to really get the job done. Yeah, they had multiple Lady Knights in double figures. I mean, on Nene Njai had 20 points after kind of a few games where she didn't really score as much. Lester had 19, Blackstone and Ivy both had 12. Lauren Swan had 10 off the bench too. So I mean, it was just a very complete team effort for the Scarlet Knights. We have 5 in double figures. Penn State only had, I mean, McMillan had a really good game. Merkel had a good game. McFadden had some decent shots in the second half, and Mariah Murray, but other than that, there wasn't really like a ton of scoring. While Rutgers had like I said, 5 in double figures, and even Kennedy Brandt got in on the action here. She had a 3-pointer too. So yeah, and Rutgers won by 4 points. So, I mean, every point counts, but having 5 in double figures, I mean, that was definitely a huge help. And the fourth quarter, I mean, they that's when they really got their separation, like from Penn State. So they were able to get their first conference victory the other day, and yeah, I mean, it was pretty ecstatic win. I was seeing post game and everything. I think it was also on Coquise Washington's birthday, so they're definitely very excited for that. And in terms of the Big Ten standings, unlike men's, only the top 16 make the tournament for women's, right? So it's a big
Top
win
15.
for 15, yeah. And Rutgers right now is 16, so they needed that win because to keep pace. I mean, in this to have any chance at that tournament, like they needed that win because now, I mean, they have a win in the conference. They're 1 game back of a couple teams in the Big Ten conference standings, and Indiana for some reason is winless in the Big Ten, which is weird because they've been a very good team like in women's basketball. Maybe not like Iowa level good, but they've been a pretty solid team like over the past few years. So I don't exactly know what's going on over there. Penn State obviously still winless too in the Big Ten, and yeah, Rutgers has 1 win. Northwestern was a big opportunity to get a win. The way that Northwestern was playing, but I think they've kind of picked it up after that. So I mean, now Rutgers is a game behind them, but still, I mean, they got their win over Penn State. I think that was a huge one for
It's almost like they're 2 games behind because even if they're tied, Northwestern has.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's still a lot of season, but they're gonna have to get a few more wins, but in the conference play. But I don't know. Now the schedule, like I guess, kind of toughens up a little bit because now they play number 7 Michigan at home on Thursday, and then they play Washington, number 25, on Sunday. Oregon at home, so a little bit of a homestand now. I mean, they played a lot on the road. It feels like these last couple of weeks. They'll be at home for the next week. Starting with their game against the Wolverines. So that's probably going to be, I mean, hopefully not a blowout loss, but I mean, Michigan's a very good team. So, I mean, they've only had a few losses this season and all against like really good teams. So Rutgers has struggled against kind of the top end of the Big Ten. So, I mean, obviously you want to be competitive there. Washington probably more manageable at 25. Oregon's an unranked team, kind of towards the bottom-ish of the bottom of the standings. So maybe Rutgers could try to pick one of them off, or maybe pick off Oregon at home to complete that, because after that then they go out to USC and UCLA, which are tough teams as well. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of where we're at with women's basketball, but definitely a huge win the other day over Penn State, and obviously that does feel good to get a win over Penn State in Happy Valley. They've had a good record against Penn State in years. I think they swept them last year too, winning both home and on the road, and then obviously getting the win over Kiyomi Miller, who had a really, really good game. And yeah, I mean, more importantly though, it keeps Rutgers kind of in the hunt for a conference tournament bid and momentum, because you don't want to go the whole season and not win a Big Ten game. I mean, this kind of provides that boost of like, okay, we could do it. We're back in this. Let's keep the ball rolling. But because before it was kind of like Maryland blowout, Northwestern uninspiring loss. So now they kind of have some momentum for the next game. So even Michigan, even though it's a tougher team, I mean, they have the momentum that they have a Big Ten win on their back, and we'll play from there.
Yeah, I definitely hope that they keep going. At least qualify for the Big Ten tournament. Unfortunately, I'm not exactly the most hopeful, especially because, like you've seen at least a decent contest. The couple games I
Yeah,
watched,
that's
it was
true.
the slacking against Iowa and the complete meltdown
Yeah,
against Northwestern.
yeah.
Um, so I'm hoping that they can obviously turn it around. Keep things going. I don't know if Washington survives the year either way. I'm not 100% hopeful in that, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, she might be on the chopping block, but I've been hearing. But well, it depends on how things go, I guess, for the rest of the year. But definitely a huge win over Penn State. There's still a lot of games left in this season over the next month. So another rematch against Penn State is coming up in February at home. They've they already played Maryland. So yeah, besides that, I mean, there's a lot of other games too on the schedule. But yeah, a homestand coming up for Michigan, Washington, and Oregon. So it's a good chance to see the women's team in action this next week. I guess I think I was going to try to get out there for the Michigan game, since I haven't really been to one of these in a while. But big time opponent. So yeah, we'll see. I mean, that should be a good one as well. I think that one's also on the Big Ten Network. So if you don't make it, you can get to see them on TV, which also is not exactly the most common occurrence either. So either way, I mean, you can watch this women's team battle, and then yeah, Washington, Oregon, then they go to the West Coast. So we'll see how things go. But I mean, a win definitely does feel good, especially in the Big Ten conference, where you're trying to make the conference tournament and keep your postseason hopes alive, I guess.
Yeah, well, I don't know about postseason
I
hopes. I
mean,
mean,
yeah,
maybe they'll make the WNIT again, but
maybe could
just
be, yeah.
we just want to qualify. I mean, like
Right. And it feels like kind of where this team's at right now, because I mean, yeah, like kind of. I mean, yeah, non-conference, it's kind of whatever. But in the Big Ten, I mean, even then they struggled against like so many of these teams. In the Big Ten, they've really kind of had a tough going of it. But getting a win over Penn State definitely does provide that confidence. And yeah, they do want to make the Big Ten tournament, as they kind of have been the last few years, and we'll see how it goes from there. But I feel like this team's still a long way away from contending, I guess, is for anything like much more than that.
yeah, I would have to agree there. I don't know if much more is what should reasonably be expected.
Right.
Just gonna kind of keep things, like I said, just gonna kind of keep things rolling. Gonna move into football. Football actually landed a edge commit, Jaden Burnett or Jan,
Jaden
Jan,
Burnett, I want to say, like the way it's spelled.
Jaden.
Jaden, I don't know. I think it's Jaden, because I think that's what the apostrophe is there for, but probably, but
Okay,
yeah, I would
so
assume so.
yeah, Rutgers football has landed Tulsa edge Dejan Burnett. He stands at 6 feet, 250 pounds. Last season, he registered 28 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 6.5 sacks, and was one forced fumble, all on his way to being named All AAC second team. Um, to my knowledge, he actually didn't start a majority of the games last season. He only started five, right? 5 games last season.
Well, I thought last year he started all of them, but wait, no, yeah, you're right. I think he did
Yeah.
not. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
No,
yeah,
he started only 5 games or
yeah,
five
yeah, yeah.
games last season. However,
Right.
he saw over 30 snaps in every single
Yeah,
game,
that's what it
which
was. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. Because then he didn't. He kind of had a. I mean, he played a lot of his time at Louisiana Tech. He had a couple of redshirt years. In his sophomore year, he played in 12 games. In his senior year over there, he started three. he had 54 tackles, 9.5 for loss, 5 sacks. But then in his one season with Tulsa, yeah, you're right. He played in 12 games. He started in 5. But he did play 30 or more snaps in each of them. So I mean, he definitely contributed quite a bit. Even if
I
he
mean,
came
30
off.
snaps, that's almost like the snaps that a starter would take, you know?
Yeah,
At least
exactly. If
half.
the defense is on the field for like 45, that feels like less,
Yeah.
but I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, that's still like a decent amount of snaps. Yeah, I mean, so I mean, he had 20.
If the defense is on the field for, let's say, 50 snaps, that's a
Right.
like
He's playing what 60% of the snaps. Like, I mean, that's
yeah.
it's not nothing. Like that means he's in he was in the rotation, and especially on D line, like
And
you get a lot of guys in and out
one
pretty quickly to keep
one
guys
thing
fresh.
that I do want to point out, by the way, one thing I do want to point out, he led the team in 6.5
Yeah,
sacks while not being a full-time starter, you know? Like he led the team in sacks while not being a full-time starter.
yeah,
I think, you know, him starting and Malachi Davis coming off the edge, they still need to
yeah,
pick up another edge, like or another defensive end.
yeah,
Let's not
yeah.
kid ourselves here,
I
because
agree.
Malachi Davis is not a starter, and I don't want him to be a starter. I don't think he can be a starter. I no, but um, I'm not
Yeah,
bashing the kid. His numbers are just not good enough.
yeah. I feel that,
Um,
but yeah.
with
I mean,
if they swapped Davis and him out, now that's something I can see because just having that deep rotation, having playmakers, that's something I can see. But I will say, with the addition of uh, Jadan, I'm going to trip up on that every time.
yeah.
With the addition of Jadan and Rondo Porter from Appalachian State, we start to
Mhm.
see a little bit of a nucleus forming on
Yeah,
that defensive line.
right.
Linebackers are already taken care of. We don't need
Yeah,
linebackers anymore. We have
true.
Moses Walker, we have Abram Wright, DJ McClary, Kamar
Mhm.
Archie. We have we got the guy in the portal from
Yeah,
I'm
from
blanking on it, but we got somebody in the portal. Like
from Rice.
yeah. The no more is needed in the transfer portal for linebacker. Defensive backs and defensive line, we need to hit hard now. Um, you start to see a little bit of a nucleus in the defensive backs and the defensive line room, but we still need to add much more. I'm actually very hopeful about this pick about this pickup because like I said, he led the team in 6.5 sacks while not starting, you know?
I know, to come off the bench and do that's definitely not easy. 28 tackles, 9.5 TFLs, 6.5 sacks, led the team. Coming off the bench or not starting every game, one forced fumble, All American Conference second team honors. From Tulsa, which didn't have a great year, but they beat Oklahoma State, which ended up leading to Mike Gundy getting fired in the beginning
Well,
of the
Oklahoma
season.
State was just
Oh, they were
awful.
god awful, but it was funny because Tulsa like didn't have an American Conference win for a while, but they had like they had the Power Five, they had like an FCS win, a Power Four win, and then they had like yeah, it was so funny. I was just like they have a Power Conference win that in the American they have not won a game, but they have that one win over Oklahoma State, like sitting there like I was just like, oh
Oklahoma
my
State was
goodness.
just so.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, they got obliterated by Oregon. Then they lose to Tulsa. I was just like, yikes! Like that's just not something that should be happening against Tulsa. But
No.
anyway, I mean, yeah, no, I mean, but yeah, Ty Morris at linebacker. The linebacker nucleus is definitely set, for sure. Like with McClary and I mean with Moses Walker and all the guys that are coming back and getting a transfer in there, like that room is pretty, and Abram Wright in there, so they have their starters and they have guys behind them that can now play. But and the D line is starting to take shape as well, definitely with Burnett, Porter, you have Malachi Davis on the other side. So I mean, secondary I guess does need a little bit more. I mean, they have a couple corners
I
in
still
there,
think
but
defensive line needs more.
yeah,
I'm not ready to say defensive line is done. In my opinion, you have two of the starting four positions filled. You have one defensive tackle and one
And one
edge.
edge rusher.
Now
Yeah,
you
you need
defensive.
two more, I guess. Because I mean, yeah. Well, Malachi Davis is in there, but yeah, I guess we're not really
Yeah, but
too.
I don't see him as a starter, and I hate to keep racking on them, but racking on the kid.
Right, right,
Numbers are
right,
not
right.
good enough, and Jaden Lee is not a starter either.
Yeah, he's definitely not a starter. Yeah. Yeah, they're gonna need like a couple more edge guy, or maybe one more edge guy and one more defensive tackle, to kind of round out that rotation. Secondary, I think they do need another corner because right now they have two pretty decent, some speedsters there. But I think they still need another one. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what happens, I guess. But
Well, they need safeties. They need safeties
they
too.
need safeties, yeah, because corners, right? They have two corners. They probably need another corner. They definitely need safeties because the safeties also, I think, both
Oh, boy.
transferred or graduated as well. So,
Well,
right,
um, Jet Eli graduated, then Kaj Sanders graded as one of the worst safeties in
yeah,
Division I college football
which
last
is
year.
weird because he had a really good freshman season, starting as a true freshman. So,
It's got to be the Rob Smith effect. But
yeah,
I will
I'm
say,
sure.
you still can't justify not bringing in a safety.
Right, you have
No
to at this point.
justification.
Yeah, even if Todd Sanders is still going to start on the other side, which I'm sure he will. Like behind them, they don't really have anyone else, and Jet Elat's walking, and he also wasn't that great last season, but he kind of picked up towards the end. But yeah, I mean, we have a hole over there, so that's a position that yeah, they definitely need to get that addressed as well. So, but yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, we're probably have a few more pickups to make in the portal, even though the portal window's has closed. But they can always,
There's
the
still
ones
a lot of players
whoever's
in the portal.
whoever's in the portal can still commit to any school. So they're definitely gonna be more pickups to be had. But yeah, I mean, I guess on a more pertinent note, we still don't have a defensive coordinator, which is fun to say this late in January. But yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what's going on with that, but I've heard that there are some rumors that we might be getting someone well, but obviously nothing's confirmed. But it seems like at this point we're probably looking at someone from either the Miami or Indiana staff or an NFL staff.
I mean, to be fair, Richie O'Leary from the Night Report said something about Ola Adams with
Yeah, Ola Adams.
that hinted that he might know something that we don't, which he probably does. But I'm really hopeful
Yeah,
that it is Ola. But
yeah.
no
I hope
guarantees.
so.
We're gonna do our best to have an emergency podcast when that news gets announced. So stay
Right.
tuned, everybody.
Right. Yeah, yeah. Hopefully it's soon. Like I'm definitely looking forward to that announcement. It's a big hire that needs to be made still. So I mean, on one hand, like you could argue anybody could be better than Rob Smith, but we're having this
Well,
debate.
first of all, anybody will be better than Rob
Yeah,
Smith.
I
Let's
think
let's
people are like having that debate in the chop chat where it's like, some people are like anyone's could be better than him, but other people are like, no, we want someone who's not only better than him but also really good. We want to like knock this out of the park. Otherwise, which is true. I mean, you don't want to just settle for anybody like you just because it's better than Rob Smith. Like you want to get someone who can really turn this defense around. But if it is the Indiana defensive backs coach, like that secondary plays really really well and the defense as a whole. So hopefully it's someone like that. I don't know. I mean, like it's just weird that we're in this position again. Like we're kind of like don't know, but that kind of happened with Kelly Zinn. For a while there was like a lot of nobody really knew, and then like it was kind of just dragging out. But then they nailed the hire. So like look what she's done for like NIL and for all.
They nailed the hire, but it took too long for it to get done.
Right. So hopefully this is like kind of the same idea where they
Kelly's
have something in work.
no. Like first of all, Kelly Zinn should have been hired in like May.
Yeah. It
Like
should not have dragged out the way
no,
that did.
no. Kelly Zinn should have been hired in May, or they should have turned it over to President Tate in like May and let him, crack his knuckles and get to work because that. My
Yeah.
rant.
It's just
Well, I'm going to save my rant against the board of governors because,
yeah. No, that was just too much. Too much. But
they're
yeah.
such an inefficient body. Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Anyway, hopefully we get the DC hire done because it's like the longer this goes on, the more like anxiety like people are gonna have, which is like not good. But I mean, eventually, like I mean, what you really want is the best hire off the board. So yeah, whoever that is, I guess. If it is someone from Indiana, that would definitely be pretty prominent. I would say. I think that's what we're leaning towards right now. But again, nobody really knows for sure. So
Yeah, I mean, like again, it's the anxiety of not knowing. Um, it
yeah, it's killing us. Like
I don't
I
know how
mean,
else to put it. It's the anxiety of not knowing, and it's like we just need to get something done because we want to stave off another embarrassment.
yeah, like of just having to hire someone like through the back door because we can't get anyone else, and then we kind of just have to hope for the best for next season because we
First
kind
of
of
all,
tried that last year and it just didn't really work. So
2025 will go down as probably the one of the biggest years in terms of Rutgers embarrassments because
yeah,
you don't make the NCAA tournament despite having two NBA talents. You take way
mhm,
too long to hire an athletic director and a president for that.
right.
Um, the twisting the knife that the football team did several times throughout the season, and with backbreakers against Iowa, Minnesota, and Penn
Mm,
State.
I
You
know,
know,
brutal.
this
And the
this
defense, like I mean, was historically bad.
historically
Like
bad. This,
yeah,
like I said, the 2025 has a very good chance to go down as one of the worst years in Rutgers athletics history because
yeah,
it was just embarrassment after embarrassment after embarrassment. But I digress. Um, get it together this year. Get somebody hired and somebody of quality. Lock them into a multi-year deal, and that's it. You
yeah,
know,
we'll be done. Yeah,
that's it.
exactly.
My TED talk is over. Thank you for
Yeah.
coming to my TED talk or whatever, or
Yeah,
whatever.
no, we just need to get a DC hired. Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, I mean, there's not really much else to say, I guess. Like, like we just got to get that figured out, and then whatever it is, like, we'll make do with it. I mean, hopefully, so yeah, obviously, we want someone good, and I'm sure, like, they're doing their due diligence after what happened last year. They're gonna make sure that we get someone, you
Oh, they
know,
better.
yeah.
Better.
Like, yeah. If not, like, we're gonna be in big trouble for next season, I guess. But anyway, yeah, I'm sure we'll get that figured. We'll get that figured out. But in the meantime, I mean, that's yeah. I mean, that's pretty much what's going on with football right now. I mean, we're kind of like towards the. I mean, we're kind of transferring almost out of the portal cycle, and now I guess the focus is going to be even more on the defensive coordinator search because that's like the one missing piece, I guess, right now.
Well, we are heading into the slow season. Recruiting has not quite picked up yet.
Right.
Defensive coordinator search is still out there. Still need transfer portal additions. We can't go into the season with what we have now.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, but yeah, we are kind of transitioning into the slower period of football, especially like March. March is when football grinds to like almost like a complete
Like the
halt.
hall. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sounds like basketball for us is going to do the same.
Oh no, that's gonna be depressing. Like,
But
yeah.
but
Anyway,
anyway, we do have a couple other headlines we just want to roll through here before we head on out of here. Um, Rutgers wrestling falls against ranked Michigan, but picks up first Big Ten win against receiving votes Purdue. Dylan Shawver got his 100th career win at RU during that Michigan game. Um, yeah, always good to see like wrestling do well, picking up a big win against Purdue, getting the first one of the season, the first dual win. But yeah, glad to see them finally get in the right column, especially after going 1-3, 1-4 in the last stretch. In terms of duels, I mean, they did very well in the Midlands Championships. I think they actually took home first place in the Midlands Championships, but they do that a lot, and then it doesn't seem to translate into dual success. So it might. I don't know how much that means. Winning the Midlands. I mean, obviously,
right.
if you're invited, you want to win. But I don't know how much that has been translating into success for the team itself. But either way, they picked up their first dual win it's always a great atmosphere if you're on campus and you don't know what to do with your time. If wrestling is playing, go watch. It's an incredible atmosphere.
Yeah, it's actually really fun. I've been a couple times. It's a great environment. Would definitely recommend that. Especially now that they got their win like against Purdue. Yeah, no, that place is rocking. Other than that, yeah, I mean, I think gymnastics. They played Ohio State. They had a good meet, but they lost. I think that was Saturday. I saw track and field. Like they set a couple people set multiple like records at the Penn relay or something like that. So, yeah, that's exciting. I saw Chris Gotterup won the Sony Open in Hawaii. Which is also very exciting as well. I mean, he's been killing it. So, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of Rutgers sports going on, I guess. Yeah, I mean, wrestling getting the ranked win, or well, over
Not ranked
not
win.
ranked, I guess receiving votes Purdue. So not a bad team. But yeah, I mean, four different Scarlet Knights, and got victories over ranked opponents in the matchup, which is exciting. And
Yeah.
Cardi, Gina Walsh, Remy Cotton, Andrew Clark, Anthony White. Yeah, I mean they lost to Michigan obviously Friday, so to come back and be able to knock off Purdue, that's obviously exciting. But yeah, no, it's just like a lot of sports going on. In track, I guess the winter track season's back. So I was seeing Anthony Sorrell and the 4x400 relay team set school record. So this kind of reminds me. I mean, I was gonna, since there's been so many things going on, I was gonna do I was gonna bring back the This Week in Rutgers athletic series for
Uh-oh.
on the banks. I've kind of taken a few weeks off and just kind of focused on the sports individually, but I think it might just be easier and better to kind of just put everything together to kind of summarize all of it, because yeah, a lot's been going on, and I think that would be a good way to kind of sum it all up.
Huh. That's interesting. Rutgers Athletics made a hire um, for the Scarlet Athletics.
Oh yeah, I just saw that because I was just
Yeah,
checking the website to see all the other headlines that we
little
didn't.
bit of breaking news. The university has announced the hiring of Dan Kabala as vice president of RNIL. Um, he's going to be helping. He comes from Penn State. He's going to be helping out our NIL program. It looks like.
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it's pretty exciting
another
too.
another
Yeah,
professional added to Kelly Zinn's arsenal. So definitely love
right.
to. We definitely love to see that. But you know, we'll have a write
Yeah.
up on that after this episode drops.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to rate us 5 stars on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, subscribe to our YouTube. If you have a criticism, let us know. We're always looking for the help. We always appreciate it. And as always, remember the bells must ring.